Imagine planning a weekend getaway to rekindle the spark in your marriage, only to return shattered. That's exactly what happened to me. My husband and I went to a secluded mountain cabin to focus on each other. No phones, no distractions, just us. The first night was perfect, and for a moment, I felt like we could overcome anything. But the next morning, as we sat by a peaceful lake, I finally brought up my concerns about my sister. What he admitted next would change my life forever. As we sat on the rock, the serene lake in front of us seemed to mock the storm brewing in my heart. I had rehearsed this conversation in my mind for weeks, terrified of what he might say. When I finally gathered the courage to ask, "Is there something going on between you and my sister?" his face drained of color, and the silence that followed felt like it stretched for an eternity. Then the truth spilled out. "I'm in love with her," he admitted, his voice trembling. "It started as just conversations. She understood me in ways I didn't think anyone could, not even you." I could feel my breath catch, my chest tightening as he continued. At first, it was just emotional, but it didn't stop there. We crossed the line in October. My mind reeled. October. The month he had insisted on late nights at work and business trips that suddenly made sense. And then came the blow that destroyed me. Being with her has shown me what real love feels like. I've never felt this way before, not even for you, not even at our best. I wanted to scream, to cry, to disappear. Instead, I sat frozen, the weight of his words crushing me. I managed to choke out, "What does this mean for us?" His answer was as cold as the mountain air. "It means I can't stay in this marriage. It's not fair to either of us." Every word felt like a dagger, twisting deeper into my soul. My worst nightmare wasn't just real, it was happening right in front of me. In the days that followed, the shock began to wear off, replaced by an all-consuming anger and sadness. While my husband seemed almost apologetic, my sister reveled in her victory. She didn't just betray me, she flaunted it. It started small, a smug text, a picture accidentally sent of the two of them cuddling on the couch, her face glowing with satisfaction. Then, her gloating took on a life of its own. She updated her profile picture to a selfie of her smirking while he kissed her forehead. My stomach twisted every time I saw it, but the real dagger came when she started posting TikToks. The videos were filled with stolen moments, secret dates, late-night drives, and even glimpses of them together at work, all taken while I thought my marriage was intact. One video was captioned, "The best things in life are worth the wait," with clips of them laughing and holding hands. It shattered me to realize those moments happened during times when I'd been waiting for him to come home, clueless. I begged my husband, no, my soon-to-be ex, to make her stop. "Please," I pleaded. "If you have even an ounce of respect left for me, tell her to stop parading this in my face." He promised he'd talk to her, but nothing changed. If anything, it got worse. My mother, instead of offering comfort, turned on me. "Your sister isn't doing this to hurt you," she insisted. "She's just happy. Can't you let her have that?" Her words felt like a slap in the face. When I protested, she snapped, "Maybe you should stop looking. This isn't about you being hurt. It's about you being petty." My father, at least, tried to stay neutral. "I don't agree with what she did," he told me quietly, "but she's still my daughter. I can't choose sides." He promised to support me, but his reluctance to take a stand left me feeling even more alone. I felt like I was losing everything: my husband, my sister, my family. The walls were closing in, and the people I'd trusted most had become strangers. As I packed my life, each box felt heavier than the last. The house I once loved, our home, had become a tomb of shattered dreams and bitter memories. Every room echoed with reminders of our life together. The couch where we'd spent lazy Sundays, the dining table where we'd shared countless meals. Now, all of it felt tainted, haunted by the ghost of his betrayal. The worst part wasn't the packing, it was the emptiness. My sister's relentless taunts on social media had pushed me to the brink. I deleted every app, shut out the world, and buried myself in the deafening silence. But even then, I couldn't escape. One day, a neighbor casually mentioned seeing my husband and sister laughing in the driveway. The thought of her smug face in my sanctuary made my skin crawl. Meanwhile, the whispers from my family added fuel to the fire. My mother called to berate me again, this time accusing me of playing the victim. "You're dragging this out," she said coldly. "You should be happy for them. Love is rare." Her words cut deeper than any knife. Love? This wasn't love. It was betrayal wrapped in a pretty bow. But amidst the chaos, I found a flicker of hope. I came across a tiny house, a modest but charming place far away from the nightmare I'd been living. It wasn't much, but it symbolized something I desperately needed: a fresh start. The move wasn't easy. As the movers hauled away the last of my things, I stood in the empty house one final time, letting the memories wash over me. This was where I'd built a life I thought was unbreakable, only to watch it crumble like ash in my hands. I may have been beaten down, but I wasn't broken. With each step forward, I reminded myself that I was stronger than their betrayal, stronger than their cruelty. This wasn't just an ending. It was the beginning of a new chapter. One where I would rise, rebuild, and reclaim my life. And as I locked the door for the last time, I whispered to myself, "You won't break me." The first night in my new house was suffocatingly quiet. The walls felt unfamiliar, the air heavy with loneliness. I lay awake, replaying every word, every betrayal, and every smug look my sister had thrown my way. My heart was shattered, but beneath the pain, a spark of defiance flickered. They had taken so much from me, my husband, my family, my sense of safety, but they hadn't taken me. That spark ignited the next day when I stumbled across a journal I hadn't touched in years. As I flipped through its pages, I remembered who I was before my marriage, before I dimmed my light to fit into someone else's world. I didn't just want to survive, I wanted to thrive, to show them and myself that I was far stronger than they ever gave me credit for. I made a vow. I wouldn't let their betrayal define me. I began crafting a life on my terms. Therapy sessions helped me untangle the pain, yoga brought peace to my restless mind, and a new job brought purpose. Each step was a small rebellion against the darkness they had tried to drown me in. But the drama wasn't over. My sister, sensing my growing distance, tried to claw her way back into my life. She sent me a long, rambling message filled with half-hearted apologies and thinly veiled gloating. "I hope one day you can forgive me," she wrote, "because he and I are happier than I ever thought possible." I didn't respond. Instead, I blocked her number and every remaining connection to her. Let her live her fairy tale with a man who betrayed his vows, because I deserved better. The final blow came when my mother called, desperate to mend the fractured family. "Your sister misses you," she said, her voice dripping with guilt. "Can't we all just move on?" "Move on," I repeated, my voice firm and steady. "You mean forgive and forget? Pretend like she didn't destroy my marriage and laugh in my face about it?" Her silence was all the answer I needed. For the first time, I hung up the phone without feeling guilty. I wasn't just cutting ties, I was reclaiming my power. As the months passed, the woman I saw in the mirror changed. She was stronger, more confident, and unapologetically herself. And when I looked back on that chapter of my life, I didn't see a victim, I saw a survivor. To anyone out there struggling through betrayal, remember this. They may think they've won, but the real victory is in rebuilding your life on your terms. And trust me, there's no sweeter revenge than thriving. Just as I was settling into my new life, finding glimmers of hope in the quiet moments of solitude, the past found a way to pull me back. A crisp white envelope appeared in my mailbox, addressed in my sister's unmistakable handwriting. My stomach churned as I stared at it. Every instinct screamed to toss it into the trash, but something compelled me to open it. Her letter was a chaotic mixture of remorse and desperation. "I made a mistake," she wrote. "Please, I need to talk to you. It's not what you think." The words seemed hollow, manipulative even. After all, this was the same woman who had gloated over my heartbreak. I stuffed the letter into a drawer, unwilling to deal with it. But a week later, my resolve was tested. My sister showed up unannounced at my doorstep. Her confident, smug demeanor was gone, replaced by a shadow of the person I once knew. Her hair was disheveled, her eyes puffy and red, and she looked as though she hadn't slept in days. "Please," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I need to talk to you." Against my better judgment, I let her in. She sat on the edge of my couch, wringing her hands like a nervous child. Then, through broken sobs, she unraveled the mess she had entangled herself in. The fairy tale romance she had fought so hard to build with my ex-husband had turned into a waking nightmare. "He's not who I thought he was," she admitted, her voice cracking. "At first, it was perfect. He was perfect. But then he changed. He's controlling. He tracks my phone, questions everything I do, and I think he's seeing someone else." Her confession hit me like a wave. I wanted to feel vindicated, triumphant even. But all I felt was a hollow sadness. This man, the one who had torn apart my life, was now doing the same to hers. As she continued to cry, she let slip a truth that made my blood run cold. "Mom knew," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "She knew about the affair from the beginning. She encouraged me to go for it. She said you'd get over it eventually." My chest tightened. The betrayal I thought I had left behind wasn't just about my sister or my husband. It extended to my mother, the woman who had raised me, who was supposed to have my back. Suddenly, her earlier dismissals and cruel words made sense. This wasn't just negligence. She had chosen sides long before I even knew there was a battle. I felt a fire ignite in me, one that I hadn't felt in months. "You need to leave," I told my sister, my voice cold and unyielding. "I can't do this right now." She begged for forgiveness, pleaded for a second chance, but I couldn't bring myself to offer her even a sliver of sympathy. The next morning, with anger and hurt swirling in my chest, I confronted my mother. I called her, demanding to know the truth. "Did you encourage her to betray me? Did you know?" Her response was unapologetic. "You're overreacting," she snapped. "I was trying to protect everyone. Life isn't black and white, you'll understand one day." Her words shattered whatever fragile thread still connected us. In that moment, I knew I couldn't keep these toxic people in my life. I went no contact, not just with my sister and ex-husband, but with my mother as well. The weight of their betrayal was too much to bear, and I deserved peace. As for my sister, she sent more letters, more texts, even showed up once more at my door, but I couldn't open myself to her again. "Trust isn't given," I told her in a final message, "and it's certainly not owed. If you want to repair this, you'll need to prove it. Until then, leave me alone." Months passed, and the woman I saw in the mirror changed. I rediscovered parts of myself I had buried, my strength, my independence, my will to fight for a life that was mine and mine alone. Therapy became my lifeline, helping me piece together the fragments of who I was before their betrayals. I began writing again, chronicling my journey not as a victim, but as a survivor. My small house, once a symbol of loss, became a sanctuary of growth and resilience. And though their shadows still lingered, they no longer defined me. When I look back on that chapter of my life, I see the scars, but I also see the woman who refused to let them break her. To anyone facing betrayal, let this be a reminder. Your story doesn't end with their actions. It begins with your resilience. If this story kept you hooked, hit that like button, leave a comment sharing your thoughts or experiences, and don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales of resilience and strength. And be sure to ring that notification bell so you never miss a new story. Together, we're creating a community of empowerment and survival. Join us on this journey.